You have to wonder whatever possessed Rose and Edgar Stanton to move to Aspen in 1954. Why would the advertising manager of a Chicago manufacturing company and his wife, who had major business and social ties in the Windy City, want to give up their cozy existence for a dusty, dilapidated town with more ghosts than residents only 10 miles from the Continental Divide? Well, for a couple of reasons. First, because they first visited Aspen as guests of Walter Pepke in 1946, before the lifts were built, and returned every winter to ski. In short, they got hooked on the place. And second, as Edgar puts it, I just thought it was high time to do what I wanted to do. So I'm doing it. It's great. His wife agreed. You might expect this odd behavior from a Yalie who majored in Greek for no reason at all, but you'd expect a little better reasoning from a lady whose uncle had the mental acumen to invent calumet baking powder, and whose grandfather was J.I. Case of the Case Farm Implement Company. The Stantons built the well-known Bonnet House on Red Mountain, moved in, and have been doing what they want to do ever since, that is, in their spare time. They found that leisure can have its demands too. Their list of Aspen activities is long. To simplify, put it this way, they wore many hats. After all, they lived in the Bonnet House. Edgar wore a pork pie when announcing at horse shows, a Tyrolean fedora when he was timing countless ski races and Olympic ski events, a Western hat when he felt like it, a stocking hat for skiing, and for old time's sake, a Navy hat as a reminder of his World War II experience as a communications officer. Rose also wore a Western hat, but she preferred disguising her activities by going bareheaded. Besides, she was often indoors with the Red Cross ladies, trying to figure out ways to raise funds for a new hospital. Rose had this to say about her efforts as a rural hospital developer and hospital district board member.
Aspen had an old hospital that was built in 1891, I think the cornerstone says, and it looked like a Charles Adams building, and the nurses were supposed to live on the top floor along with the bats. And there were about 10 stone steps that led up to the front door, and when skiing started and there were a few injured skiers, the ski patrol had to carry the litters up the front steps, and it really wasn't a very good entrance to a hospital. And also, it was far from fireproof, so somehow or other I got to a county commissioner's meeting once, and I sounded off about how unsafe the hospital was, and it was a county hospital, and if there was a fire and anyone was killed in the fire, the county commissioners would be responsible.
The result? This 1891 hospital evolved into this one in 1962, where Rose cut the ribbon. It's now the community center. And finally, to the present one, for which Rose turned the first shovel of earth in 1975. In the meantime, Edgar had been doing much more than he intended to do in retiring to Aspen. Being a director and secretary of the Aspen Skiing Corporation, being a founding director of what is now the Central Bank in Aspen, trustee and teacher at the Colorado Rocky Mountain School in Carbondale, director and treasurer of the Aspen Ski Club, a founder of the Grassroots Television Network, vice president of the Aspen Chamber of Commerce, founding member of the Aspen Center for Environmental Studies, trustee of the American Theater Institute, chairman of both the Pitkin County Planning and Zoning Commission and the County Board of Adjustment for 8 long years. But for Edgar, music was his first love. Before moving to Aspen, he served with Walter Pepke as a trustee of the Chicago Symphony. He was a life trustee and treasurer of the Music Associates of Aspen. One of Edgar's favorite projects, starting in 1957, was serving as the official recorder of festival concerts for the U.S. State Department's Voice of America broadcasts overseas. That was the beginning of the Aspen Audio Institute, which is now an important part of the music festival. The community service performed by both the Stantons over the years is not a normal agenda for retirees. Thank you, Edgar and Rose Stanton. We're happy that doing what you want to do over the past 35 years has done so much to benefit Aspen.